Hey, this is Logan Shinholster, CGN, helping you go from craftsman to businessman. Jumping into this, I got Michael Gillio, who owns Gruntworks. He's one of our clients, and he asked a question on his Facebook, what do you hate about contractors? All right, and I'm gonna bring up 4 of them, and the first one that I wanna talk to you about is from April. April said, surprise extra charges. I realize things come up, but at the end of the project, when they hit you with a you owe $550 or more or something like that, I'm like, WTF, where did that come from? All right, here's kind of what's going on behind the scenes. One of the problems that really happens in the contracting space is contractors feel like they have to be very, very, very competitive with their bid. So the margins are already very thin, and that's why when something pops up, you feel the obligation to charge more. So you're at a battle with each other where she thinks that you're ripping them off, and you're mad because you think that April is trying to take food off of your family's table, and that's how you got to survive. Here's how to fix it. Do expectation setting up front. That's going to really be a big part of what we talk about with the remainder of these. However, if you tell people, look, it's going to be X amount of money. However, there might be a couple surprise things here and there. For example, as I'm remodeling this bathroom, I might knock through a wall and see the whole thing's rotted out. That's going to cost potentially X amount more. Now, I'm not saying it can happen and it will happen. I'm just saying I've seen this before. And the homeowner then is going to either say, I'm good with that, or they're going to say, well, how much is that? And then now you get to have that open dialogue. You're not saying it's going to happen, but think about it. It's not worth getting into that scenario, knocking through the wall, seeing that there's a ton of dry rot, and now you're, instead of making money on the project, you're losing money on the project. Be open with the expectations, and people will be good with that. And if you don't want to be open with that because you're afraid it's going to lose you the job, then just pad that into your price of just in case. We work with contractors who charge a 2.2x markup. So if they have charges at the end of the project that weren't accounted for, a few $100 here and there, you're still going to make really, really, really good margins. You maintain your reputation, and the best part is you don't have to take food off your family's table. Charge more. All right, scrolling down, the next issue that we got is from John DeCanto. John says, not knowing if they're cutting corners or if they are constructing per best practices, AKA the correct way. So what John is thinking in his head, and this, I'm not calling John out because I don't know John, but we've probably all dealt with that one homeowner that stands over your shoulder and just watches you do every single thing that you do because they don't trust you. And what John is thinking and what he's really afraid of is this thing that they're constructing, maybe it's small, maybe they're painting, and there's not really that much of a safety hazard, but if they are constructing a deck or they're remodeling the kitchen or whatever it is, and there's like actual potential structural issues going on, John's afraid that if you cut corners as the contractor, it's a safety issue, plus if something fails, are you gonna come back? And now you're thinking as the contractor, look dude, back off. I'm doing the things the right way. Essentially, you're insulting my craft because I take this seriously. And if you don't trust me enough to let me work and operate, like it's not gonna be the right fit to work together. All right, because as the contractor, you do need your space, right? You don't wanna have somebody directly over your shoulder because you're getting micromanaged. And I don't think I know a single person that loves getting micromanaged. So, how do we deal with that? If you can showcase up front that you are high-end, you have a nice wrapped truck, and you look official. I mean, think about that. If you're cutting corners on your truck wrap because you have a small-ass little magnet that maybe you just take off and decide, well, I'm not a contractor anymore, that doesn't build up any sort of trust with homeowners. Look official, and when you act official, that will ease their mind of, is this person gonna screw me and cut the corners? So on the warranty side of things, this is something that I know a lot of people go back and forth on. We work with clients on this, where you stand by your work and you say like, look, if I build you this deck or if I do this for you, it's going to stand the test of time. You know, maybe it's 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. But when you have warranties built in, that's essentially putting your money where your mouth is. And what I mean by that is, for example, with Premier Ponds and Lighting, client of ours, when they do lights, exterior lights, low voltage lighting, they know for the most part that the bulb is either going to burn out within 6 months or about 12 years, and there's no in between. So if you have a 1-year warranty on it, well, that's going to cover if it burns out in the 6 months. But imagine if you have a 10-year warranty on it, you're still only going to have to fix it in the 6-month mark. One contractor has a 1-year warranty, one has a 10-year warranty. Which one's the homeowner going to go with? That's the difference. All right, next one. This is probably the one that we hear all the time. You probably hear it all the time. Let's find it from Sandy. She says, no communication. All right. Michael responded back, appreciate the comment and great point. Can you share any examples from past experiences? I know you've had a lot of work done. And she said one contractor in particular would take forever to answer my calls or texts, usually when they were a no-show. How frustrating is that? I get contractors get busy, emergencies, issues with other jobs, which puts them behind, but just call me and be honest about what's going on. Wasn't too happy with that guy. All right, so what's happening here is that contractor just screwed all the other contractors in the area because now Sandy is probably going to be very defensive towards the new contractors. All right, and what happens is Michael Gilio steps in, and he wasn't the other guy. He didn't screw Sandy over, and Michael's thinking, man, this Sandy lady, she's just like, she's hitting me up all the time and she's blowing me up. Like, what's up with that? And Michael has to recognize that Sandy is just frustrated from her past experiences. We all have baggage in life that we bring to it. It's like a relationship, right? Sandy is bringing a bad breakup into a relationship that Michael has no idea about. So how do you fix that? A, you be communicative, but B, you ask in the sales process, hey, have you ever worked with a contractor before? Great. What was it like? Because we want to pull out of Sandy the highs and the lows. And what you'll be able to hear is you probably have a good gut. You can tell from a Sandy if it's like, okay, this lady's crazy. She said the other person didn't communicate, and when I dove into it as Michael, I realized that she really wants to hit me up every single day, and I'm just not willing to do that. And that's fine, but Michael needs to know that stuff up front. Ask that when you go through the sale or the estimation process with them. Just say, have you ever worked with somebody before? And if they say no, then you ask them, well, what kind of experience would you like? And if they say yes, ask them how the experience was, because it's either good or it's bad, and both of those pieces of information are going to be unbelievably valuable. All right, and the last one I'm going to go through is timelines. And this is a whole psychological game that we all play as entrepreneurs. And let me break it down from Kelly's perspective first, and then from the contractor's perspective. So Kelly says timelines. It's better to tell me that it's going to take 6 weeks to do the project, and then it only takes 5, instead of telling me it's going to take 4, and then it takes 5. I prefer a timeline that includes estimates of best and worst case scenarios than a number that you won't hit, or even a revised schedule if just unforeseen issues occur. I can budget for money, but almost feel like a hostage when giving up control over my time. We know what it's like to have a guest that stays longer. Like, we want them to leave at 10 p.m. and now it's midnight and we're trying to find out a really nice way to say, hey, get out. Now imagine you paid that person. That's what Kelly's afraid of, because now she feels like a stranger and a hostage in her own home. What we all do, and I've done this a lot myself, we put unrealistic expectations on ourselves. All right? This is not just in a project, this is in life, in business, where it's not that the goals that we set are inaccurate, it's that the timelines that we place on ourselves are just too much. And it's the same thing when it comes to the work. We know stuff goes on, right? If you're in landscaping or exterior stuff, if it rains like it's pouring out here right now in Charlotte, this is going to throw off your timelines, right? And if you have a very tight schedule back to back to back and you miss a day, that's going to throw everything off. All right, so there's 2 things here that we can do. One's going to be really straightforward. One's going to be killer for you. All right, first thing, just under promise, right? If you know it's going to take you 5 weeks and you know pretty damn well it's going to take you 5, just say 6. Like, just factor in that you're going to have an extra week of stuff going awry. All right, easy one. The other one, this is one that I learned from my dad, and it's unbelievably genius. Like, get a paper and pen for this one, because it's not only going to help you with clients, it's actually going to make you a lot more money. Start your projects on a Monday. What he does is he has, and this is different, if you're building a home and it's like a 6-month project, that's one thing. But with him, what he does is, and back when he owned his pond company, was he would start his projects on a Monday. And he knew most projects were going to be about a 3.5, 4-day project. All right, which means that he's got an open day. Well, during this open day, he would have to find work for the crew, right? Well, the work always popped up. There was always somebody that needed something. And what he got to do, whether it was a new prospect or a customer, he got to answer the phone and say, actually, I can do that. I got an opening this Friday. Do you want that spot? And because it was such a quick turnaround for people, they actually said, yeah, sure. The price was now irrelevant because they were getting service that quickly. When everybody else was 2 months out, he could get it done in 2 days, which now means that the price is no longer an issue because of the speed he got out there. Start your projects, especially if you're smaller, and you do shorter projects, start them on a Monday because you know you will get small projects to fill in the gaps. All right, so at the end of it all, what ends up happening is we put this undue pressure on ourselves as the entrepreneur, the business owner, the person that brings the money in, feeds the people on the table, all that stuff. We put this unrealistic expectation where we can get the job done for cheaper, faster, with better communication than ever, and it typically does not work out in a perfect world. All right, so what we want to do is we really want to practice candor over comfort. And what I mean by that is just be upfront, be open, be honest with people, because you're either going to have to get uncomfortable up front or you're going to screw yourself down the line, and one scenario is way better than the other. So pick your pain. Do you want to be a little bit uncomfortable up front but work through it proactively, or do we want to deal with a much bigger problem on the back end, and then that potentially could harm us down the line with bad reviews, losing money, things like that. So let's be upfront, because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. All right, so I'm going to link at the end of this video to another video that we're talking all about a better experience for homeowners and stuff. And the easiest way to prove a lot of this stuff is just to get great reviews. So I'm going to link to a video that Aaron did that's all about how to get 5-star reviews from homeowners, and it's a banger of a video. Check that out. And what I'm going to do, because I really want to invite you to check out our podcast, I'm going to link it down below in the comments, because that's really in the podcast where I speak more candidly and more openly, because we don't have to deal with the YouTube algorithm and trying to keep this thing rolling. Get the podcast, listen to it when you're driving around, because it's all gold nuggets back to back to back to back, and you'll be a way better businessman for it. See you guys.